to make any changes for this game?
Yes, likely to make some changes. We're nearly at full health. Nakamba was one we've been waiting for. He's had 60 minutes in the 23s last week and had another strong week, so he'll come into the squad. Emi Buendia and Tyrone Mings picked up niggles from Wolves. Tyrone trained yesterday, he's been okay, so he's available. Emi Buendia trained today, assuming there's no reaction from today's session, he'll be available, which makes us virtually at full strength, so that's a positive.
Stephen, I watched your post-match interview after the Wolves game and you used the words regret and frustration about the team only turning up at half-time and conceding too many goals at the moment. I'm sure your players heard that loud and clear. Have you seen a reaction this week?
Listen, it's a collective in terms of the outcome of that game. You know, we're all in it together and we all never turned up till half-time and we all went away with regret and frustrations. Tomorrow gives us an opportunity to try and come out of the blocks quicker and try and find the performance over 90 minutes, because that's what will be needed if we're to find the outcome that we want. And it's always the case if you prepare for a game, especially a local derby, and you're on the losing side of that fixture and you don't give the best version of yourself collectively, of course you're going to go away frustrated and regret. But the good thing about football is the next big game's only round the corner, and I've seen the reaction that I've wanted from the players, but I've also given them the final message of the week, and that's not to leave it on the training ground. Let's see it at Villa Park tomorrow and let's try and give our supporters a performance to be proud of.
Stephen, just my third and final question, just slightly away from your game. I know you have a huge amount of respect for both Jurgen and Pep. They clearly show a lot of respect for each other on the touchline, but always complementing each other's skills. Just how good is it for the game? They come up against each other this weekend, of course. How good is it for the game that our top two managers of the top two teams at the moment in the country have that level of respect for each other? And how do you see in this titanic battle on Sunday going?
I don't think they've got any choice but to have respect for each other, because, as you say, they're both world-class operators, managers. They've been so for many, many years, both being very successful, and they both manage two of the top teams in the world. So I think that leaves you with no choice but to have that instant respect. I think it's a wonderful game for everyone to watch at the weekend, but my priority is Aston Villa v Tottenham. My full focus is on that game. I'm only really interested in the outcome of the game that I'm involved in. But I hope I'm in a position where we get a good, positive, strong performance and the outcome that we want, and then I can sit and watch it on Sunday like everyone else. But it's a mouth-watering game, of course it is, and obviously it's been a fascinating title race, and it's a game everyone's looking forward to. I'm no different.
Too close to call?
Yes, I think you all know what outcome I'd like, but I think you have to respect City. They're at home. It's a real tough game for Liverpool as well. There's world-class players all over the pitch, and I'd be guessing at an outcome of the game because it can go either way for sure.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you.
You all right, Steve?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, mate.
Good.
Ollie Watkins scored in the reverse of this fixture, and whilst his work ethic is never in doubt, does he need to be more ruthless and clinical, do you think, in front of goal?
Ollie needs to just keep being himself. Since we've come in, I've been really pleased with what I've seen on a daily basis. He scored goals for me. He's put in good performances. I think Ollie's a work in progress. I think Ollie would say that himself. He's desperate to improve and get better. My responsibility and my coaching staff is to keep supporting him. He's a hungry kid. He wants to continue to improve in every department. Fantastic to work with him. His humility and his professionalism and his hunger to get better is all you can ask for as his manager. Ollie just needs to keep being himself, keep getting in the right places for the chances, and I think his form's getting better and better, and I'm sure he will become more clinical and more ruthless. But we've also got a responsibility as a team and a group to keep providing service, not just for him but for Danny as well, for Leon if he plays, Bertrand, Phil, whoever the forward players are, young Emmy. Collectively as a team we need to keep creating chances. We did that at the end of Wolves. The frustrating thing for me is we didn't create enough in the first half.
Tyrone Mings said at the end of the Euros that when things weren't quite going well for him, he had to be careful about his mental well-being. How important is it to have a Tyrone Mings on top of his game for Aston Villa? And do you actively work on stability?
Well, we're here to support all the players, whether it be from a physical, whether it be from a mental point of view. That's what we do. We've got a duty of care to all the players to support them in any way, shape or form. I've had a conversation with Tyrone this morning, and I can only take him on what I see on face value, and he's in a good place. He's told me he's physically and mentally ready for the challenge tomorrow. I haven't really got too much to say on what he said previously after the Euros because I wasn't working with him, but all the players know here, and I made it abundantly clear that family is the only thing that's important in football. Part of the family thing that I say is how you feel from a mental point of view, and whatever I need to do to support these players on or off the pitch, mentally, physically, I'll be there for them.
Just finally, you played with Michael Owen, you played with Wayne Rooney for England. Where now does Harry Kane rate in terms of being a striker?
Right up there alongside them two, and they were two of the best that I played with. Harry Kane's world class. He's been very loyal to Tottenham, in my opinion. We obviously need to make sure that we're very diligent and defensively set up right to try and control him. But he's one of very few players on the planet that when they're at it, they are unstoppable. He's that level of player. He has good backup in some of the other frontmen that he's surrounded with as well. Son, Kulusevski. So listen, we need to be right at it tomorrow from a defensive point of view, where we need to avoid errors like we did against Wolves. But if you're asking for my sole opinion on Harry Kane, he's a world-class operator. I think he's a fantastic person. I haven't been in his company very much, but I watch a lot of how footballers behave and how they come across. And hopefully he doesn't have a fantastic game tomorrow, but I'm a big fan.
Very best of luck.
Thank you.
Stephen, you were talking about Nakamba earlier. How happy are you to have him back and available for the selection?
Extremely happy. Because when we come into this job, we had the right bounce and the right boost, and we found a bit of consistency in the team early on, and Marv was a real big part of that. Now, he's still got a bit to come in terms of where he's at from a physical point of view, but the part that he played in how we wanted the team to look in terms of our organisation, he was humongous in that. He's been missed, and we can't get him up to speed quick enough, and this week we've pushed him. He's had extra training, and he's an important player for us. So when we get him back ready and capable of 90 minutes at this level, I'm sure he'll be a big help to the team.
I was going to ask about the mood of the squad in general after a defeat or a frustrating run of results. Do you find it that they channel their frustrations out and it's easy to sort of block that defeat result off and move on, or do you find it plays on the mind, because you said that you saw the reaction that you wanted, so you want to feel that?
It's my responsibility to try and help move it out of the system as quick as we can from a collective point of view. That's my job, is to try and move on, whether it be a win, lose or draw. But in all honesty, it doesn't feel good when you lose. It shouldn't feel good when you lose. I don't think anyone connected to Villa is happy to see the team get beat, especially when you lose 3 on the spin. It lingers longer, it hurts more, and that's the way we want it to be, because we want to get back to winning ways. We want the mood to change as quick as we can, and as I say, Tottenham gives us that opportunity tomorrow, albeit it's a tough fixture. We know at our best we can make it extremely difficult for them as well, and it will definitely need our best to get the outcome that we want. In football, you can change the mood and the feeling pretty quickly with an important win, and that's all I want the players to focus on. We can do nothing about the last 3 results or fixtures. We can only focus on the one that's coming up.
It's that balance zone. If you say that's, you want them to move on as quickly, does that move on quickly in situations like that? Or does it linger?
I'd be a liar if I said it doesn't, but that's the way I am, that's the way I'm made up. I'm not going to change, but I'm working on trying to be balanced. You'd have to be a decent actor when you're a manager around your players at times. You have to move on to the next challenge as quick as you can. But the way I am, the way I'm built, the way I'm made up, I feel results both ways. If I win, I feel great. It feels unbelievable. when you don't get the results you want, of course, I feel it. But that's the reason why I'm in the position I'm in, and that's the reason why I had longevity in my career, because if you love the game and you love winning and you hate losing, you're bound to feel emotions. You can't just switch it on and off. But as a manager, you've got to try and remain balanced, especially when you're managing a group of players and you're managing a group of staff. You need to be the one that sets the example.
Thank you. Good luck.
You're welcome.
Hi Steve, good afternoon.
How you doing? All right?
Yeah, good, thank you. Steve, we've seen Villa win and win well this season under you, and then lose, and as you say, 45 minutes really good, then 45 not. What can you do as the coach to improve that inconsistency, or is it more to do with the players' mindset?
I think in the short term we've got to continue to push and work and challenge and work even harder than we have to find that consistency. We're well aware that the consistency hasn't been good enough. We have had some fantastic wins, we've had some strong performances individually and collectively, but we've also seen the opposite as well. So in the short term we've got to continue to push and work hard, keep drilling, keep believing in what we're doing. And then when the opportunity comes, try and get the players some help and support that they need, because I think everyone knows when you take over a team where we did and how we did, it was never going to be fixed overnight. It was never going to be fixed with one transfer window. So there is need for an element of patience and time. But in the short term, we have to keep drilling these players what we believe in, and go over it and repeat it, so we're as organised and well drilled as we can be in the short term.
I'm sure that you know everything about Spurs because you've had them watched, etc. But they're in great form at the moment. I think they've scored 21 goals in the last 5 or 6 games. Do you do anything differently this week to nullify that goal threat?
Yes, we work on it all week. We show clips, we show footage, we show the strengths. We show the patterns. We make sure that we're really diligent in terms of giving the players the information they need, but at the same time we do the exact same in terms of where we believe we can hurt Spurs. Spurs are in great form. We've got a top class manager, but you also have to remember over the course of the season Spurs are not unbeatable. That's for sure. It wasn't so long ago where the manager was extremely frustrated because they had inconsistencies themselves. So good team, good form, good players, but not unbeatable. Not from what I see anyway.
Just finally, I understand you're at Leicester, watching Leicester.
Correct.
That's what I understand.
Correct.
And the reports are you're running the rule over Nani Madueke. Is that right, wrong, or indifferent? Can you tell me anything?
The number 10 right winger for PSV. He played extremely well in the game, but I wasn't watching him.
Good enough. Thanks very much. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Hi, Stephen, you're right.
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, obviously not as smartly dressed as Tom, but I'll...
You look well enough for me, mate. Friday afternoon, you relaxed there.
Indeed, yeah. So, having not seen a large number of your squad up to 48 hours before the Wolves match, I was only away for about 10 days or so, how beneficial has it been for you to actually have them all week, no midweek games, actually be able to have to spend a full week with them again on the training?
Well, after a performance that wasn't satisfying enough over the 90 minutes, it's always important to have a full week to really go over your identity, how you want it to look, remind the players of what you want to see on both sides of the game. It's never ideal after an international break when you've got players coming from all parts of the world, people arriving late, but jet lag. We also had some players who had real positive international breaks, and they may be coming here, not too focused on a local derby, if you like. So it was a short time, but I didn't really want to mention that before the game because it looks like you're getting your excuses in here, there and everywhere, and we certainly won't use any of that as an excuse. We believe there was still enough time for a better performance over the 90 minutes, but any manager would tell you the same. If you've got a week to prepare for a game, it's always that bit more beneficial.
Now, over the last few weeks, we've talked a fair bit about sometimes you've been a little bit slow out of the blocks in games, but I actually thought you started better than Wolves last week, and yet as soon as there's adversity, some of them seem to struggle. Is there a mindset problem? Would you think that's fair, that when things start to go wrong, some of them just... No,
I think we gifted 2 goals away early on in the game. That's never helpful, certainly away from home. Obviously their crowd get the tails up and the atmosphere and the momentum changes in the stadium. I think it affected 1 or 2 of ours. of course. But I think that happens to most teams and most players. It's not an ideal situation to be in when you start a game on the front foot. You're quite positive in the opening 5-6 minutes, and then before you know it, you're 2 down and could have been 3 down. So it's natural that'll shake you a bit. We recovered well enough and got to half time the way we was, and we got the reaction from that point on. It was a lot more positive. But the key things for me in the game was we have to cut the errors out. At this level, it's hard enough, you know. When the game's even at 0-0, you can't give teams mistakes, because at this level you get punished, you get gobbled up, and you get punished severely. So the players are well aware of what we need to do moving forward in the short term to the end of the season, and that's to try and cut silly errors out.
Talking about full houses and big atmospheres, there's going to be both of them tomorrow tea time at Villa Park. So how important is it for you now that this season doesn't just fizzle out and it actually have a really strong end to the campaign?
It's the most important thing for me. And I demand from the players that none of them have that in the mindset. The mindset's got to be, you know, can we finish the season as strong as we can? There's always a purpose, there's always something to play for at Aston Villa. Our fans have followed us extremely well. I mean, they have done here for many, many years, but since I've come in, I can't ask for any more of them. So I demand from the players that we give them a performance to be proud of. Tomorrow, we have a short break then because of the way the fixtures are. And then, you know, I demand that we finish the strong and give them the performances that they deserve from now till the end of the season. Then we're hoping to be in a position that we can go and build from and become a lot stronger and have a full pre-season. That's the aim for me. It's my only focus right now. Cheers. Thank you.
Hi, Stephen.
Hello, mate.
I called Tom just to make sure he wasn't going to wear a check shirt. There had to be one.
Everyone's dressed well today, don't worry. Everyone's explaining the gear.
You didn't get the opportunity to play with Harry at international level. He came.
Unfortunately,
yeah.
not.
Obviously, when he was coming through at the 21s, obviously, occasionally they would come and train with the seniors. I just wondered if you had the opportunity to train with him, and also what you saw of him at all around St George's Park, just going on what you say about how people carry themselves.
No, I've met him once at an awards do. That's the only time we've crossed paths. I've watched him from afar for many years. I've followed his progress throughout the England setup and obviously into the main team. I think he's the perfect captain for England right now. World-class player. I think the way he carries himself on and off the pitch, the way he interviews, he's had some highs and lows at Tottenham, but I think himself has handled himself extremely well. And I've got nothing but admiration for him as a guy and a player. I wish I had the opportunity to play with him. You'd always want to play with top players for sure. The way he plays, I believe, would have certainly have helped my game to the next level. And I've got enough confidence and belief the way I played the game that I might have been able to help him. But unfortunately, our paths never crossed. I played with world-class players in England. Unfortunately, I never got the chance to play with him. But hey-ho. You also know what it's like to play for a top team and then have interest from elsewhere and not go. How impressed have you been with what Harry's managed to just sort of his mindset, basically, after last summer and all the noise about Manchester City, and just get on with the job and how he's performed this season on the back of that? Listen, I think it affected him initially in terms of his form. I think it's grew as the season's gone on. He's obviously back in a wonderful place. Every situation's different. Everyone's entitled to make their own decisions. I admire his loyalty to Tottenham. Of course I do. And of course, I'm sure it's been tempting for him on many occasions to go and take one of them options up. But I think the Spurs fans should enjoy him and admire the loyalty that he's gave them. I think you can see a guy that is desperate for success with Tottenham. I've got a lot of admiration for that, and the thing for me is he might still have the opportunity to achieve a couple of things in his career that might mean more to him with Tottenham than anyone else because of what Tottenham have also give the player, and that's what it boiled down to with myself. And the decision was, yes, I could go to 3 or 4 teams in a foreign country or a couple of teams in domestically that maybe have a better chance of winning, but winning something with your team, the team that you love and the supporters that you love, I think they will mean more to him for the rest of his life than a short-term fix, if you like.
Yeah, And just on Villa, after the weekend, I appreciate some of this predates your time here. It's just 4 points won from 39 against teams above Villa in the league this season. What does that say about the gap that you need to bridge and how you need to do it, both tomorrow, the rest of the season, and obviously ahead of next year?
That is the biggest challenge for this club, but for also a lot of other clubs out there as well. I think the top four, as it was back in the day when I played, has almost become a top six, if you like, and for different reasons. They have advantages when it comes down to finances and picks in the market, if you like, but that has to be a challenge. It has to be an exciting challenge for everyone here at Aston Villa that we need to all collectively push towards closing that gap. But these are gaps that take time. They need an awful lot of things. They need a well-coached team. They need good players. It needs clever recruitment. It needs, obviously, finances in different ways to support that. But for me, that's the exciting thing. That's something that you see all these teams above you and you look at them with admiration, but without fear, and you go and try and close the gap. People have proved that it can happen. Give you a few examples. Leicester, for example. West Ham recently have crashed into it. Wolves have done it before. So yeah, that's the exciting thing, and that's the big challenge here is, can we over time become a team that's capable of trying to grab one of them positions off the so-called big six? That's going to take time and a lot of effort, a lot of hard work, but I'm prepared to be all in to try and make that happen.